You're watching 24/7 Live Culture.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Movie Box Talks. And today, the crew is interviewing the one and only Tonja Renée Stidhum. Tonja, we are so happy and thrilled to have you on our show. Your background is incredible. And so we are honored to have you on our show to share a little bit of your expertise as a writer in the industry. And so thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Writer,
Yeah, thanks
director,
for
and
having me.
producer.
Yes, writer,
Yeah,
director,
triple
and
threat.
producer. That's right. We need to put respect on the titles.
Yeah, and sometimes we have to be right in this
Yes,
industry. We have to be all three.
right. In these times, yes, we do.
hmm
Um, so Tonja, we chatted offline a little bit, and you have a wonderful, I think, insightful journey from the Windy City, Chicago to LA. And I was wondering if you can share a little bit about that story to like encourage our viewers on just going after your dreams, because I feel like your story shows that. Like it shows, you know what, I'm gonna go after my dreams and I'm just gonna wing it and we gonna do what we do. And sure enough, you have an incredible resume, where you have been featured on Ebony magazine, GQ, things like that. And so just go ahead and share for us.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. I'm Tanja. I'm from Chicago, specifically the South Side of Chicago.
Mhm.
And I was born and raised there. I've been in Los Angeles for almost 9 years. It's going to be in September. It's going to be 9 years. But what brought me here is, yeah, I did a leap of faith. I was working at a law firm as an administrative person in the new business intake department. And I was doing that for a minute. That was like my first job. I had a full-time job so I could move out my mama's house, basically out of college. So I was able to do that. But as time went on, probably about 8 years, I would say, yeah, it was 8 years. I was like, I can't keep doing this because I was a writer at heart, right? Like I was at work writing, like sneaking and doing writing, looking at TV shows, looking at Awkward Black Girl from Issa Rae, sneaking in the law firm, looking at that, which is a huge inspiration to me. And one day in, I think it was like maybe the springtime, my best friend, shout out to her, she passed a couple of years ago, but she was my best friend. She was in LA at the time, and she was trying to get me out there, and she sent me a sale from Virgin Airlines, which doesn't exist, I don't think, anymore domestically. I think Alaska acquired it, but she sent me a plane ticket sale, and I booked it right then. Like that day, I booked a one-way
Yes.
flight to Los Angeles.
One-way
That was the
flight.
day. Yeah,
Ooh.
so I did that, and from the months after that, I raised money. I did crowdfunding to get on my feet. I was looking for jobs. Obviously, I didn't get a job probably until 1 month. Until I moved. And the day I moved, I literally picked my late father's birthday, September 27th. He passed of lung cancer when I was 12 years old. So I thought that was like a significant
Oh,
day for me to
wow.
go. Yeah, it was like,
Oh,
deeper
yeah.
than, me just moving. It was,
Yeah.
in honor of him. But yeah, so I did that, and things lined into place once I, took that leap. Like they say, when you leap, the net will appear. And that's
Yes.
that's legit what happened, because it was scary. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Oh, I
lie.
bet.
I bet it was.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
that's a long travel. That's a long ways. Is
Yeah.
you mentioned your father. I'm wondering, like, was he also a writer, or was he into
No,
the arts
actually,
at all?
no, he was in the Navy actually. So like, and then he went into engineering.
Oh, okay.
But his story and him leaving me like as a child really contributed to I guess my emotional core, what I insert in my stories,
Mm,
right? So like losing my father, a lot of the stories that are connected to has a theme of abandonment. And that's an issue I had to work through with therapy and stuff, with dating, with
Yeah.
yes.
everything. Is like that was an issue for me, and so I insert that into my stories all the time. And so very impactful for me.
Oh, wow.
That's
Amazing.
amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. What I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you leaving somewhere where you were so comfortable, you know, Chi-Town, this is my favorite city. I love it. Uh,
Yes,
Same.
and then coming
I
all the way
love it.
to the West Coast, you know, was it really a different culture shock for you when you got to LA?
For sure. Big culture shock. It was like, first of all, the food.
Yeah,
It's like I
yeah.
miss my Chicago
Right.
That's what I want to know. I want to know about the food.
Right.
Well, that's what we'll always say is the food, right? The good part is the weather, right? I exchange
Yeah.
it for the weather, right? Because our weather in Chicago is terrible. I tell anybody who visits Chicago in the winter, don't visit in the winter. Our
Yeah.
summers are where it's at though, because we appreciate our
Yes.
summers because it's so
Yes.
cold.
Right.
But that Lake Michigan wind chill is not a joke. And
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all. When I
Mhm.
moved here, a lot of people are like, "Don't you miss seasons?" And I'm like, "Nope." I spent
Not at
30
all.
plus years in Chicago. I like the sun. I'm a summer baby.
Yeah.
Literally my birthday is this month in July. So
Are you a
like
Cancer?
I am a Leo
Leo.
actually. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I love Chicago. I love my city. I love going back all the time. It's, you know, it's a homecoming, you know, like the song, right? But
Yeah, of course.
uh like it's just something that it was hard where when I came here to get a village, right? Because a lot of people say when you move here, it can be such a lonely city if you don't have that village. So
Yeah.
I was focusing
Very
on getting
true.
that first, like very early on, and that's why I was able to last as long as I did and actually enjoy it here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and pre-pandemic too, because I feel like there was a
I
shift,
wasn't.
that like this is a whole different city. LA was a
So
different
different.
city pre-pandemic. Yeah.
It is. I totally agree.
So for you to want to transition into a full-time creator and leaving, you know, a job like working at a law firm, which is a nice job to have.
Mhm.
Um, where did that courage come from? Because, you know, a lot of people who are probably going to watch this who are, you know, maybe want to take that leap of faith, but
Mhm.
they're having their little doubts. What would you say to them to get that courage to do something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because it does. It takes a lot of courage. You know, I always say to people, I'm like, bravery isn't the lack of fear; it's being scared and doing it anyway,
Yeah.
right? And that's literally what I did. Even when I moved here, right? I to get on my feet, I worked at another law firm. That was the job that I got. I
Yeah.
worked at another law firm in
Yeah.
downtown LA to get on my feet and stuff, so I could pay this high rent. But
It is high.
it
Yes.
is high. Oh my God. And just increasing as the year goes, doesn't it?
Man.
Right.
But yeah, I was working there and I worked there for a year.
Mm.
And again, I was getting that restlessness feeling. I was like, I didn't move here for this. I didn't move here to work at another law firm and
Yeah.
just be the same life, only sunnier. But I quit that job. I turned in my resignation literally when I got my first major byline, which was Ebony, as Phedora said. And so like it was just, you know, it was just one of those things where I was like, I just got to do it, right? If I don't do it, I'm always going to live in that state of like, what if, which is my biggest fear. That fear, like, surpassed any fear I had of, oh my gosh, this is a huge risk. The fear of what if definitely carried me going for sure. And I had a lot of support. I'll tell people, like, to your question, and Deanna, telling people, like, well, if they do, having a support system and a community definitely helps
Right.
because as they
Right.
say, no man is an island. Like I didn't do this by myself. I had a support system with me, my friends, family, everything were holding me up, holding me down financially, emotionally, all of it in times when I needed to.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Such an
Yeah.
inspiration, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, like, are you planning on, I mean, this is kind of not off topic, but are you planning on like hosting like a class or mentorship, or are you doing those things? Because I feel like your story, like as a writer, just from transitioning from your leap of faith to coming here on a job that you probably didn't really want to do because your love was writing, but how you went into that. And I just think that's amazing. Like, are you gonna offer anything to the youth or anything like that?
Wow, that's such a sign. Because so many people told me about to do that, especially during the pandemic, like to hold like classes, like virtual classes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing I've been thinking about, like seriously, because I do like that kind of mentorship and speaking my story and speaking my power to other people, right? That's why I like sitting on panels. I like doing those kind of things. and doing it in a transparent way, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the panels could be like, oh, the same stuff all the time. You just hear this like kind of generic, sterile stuff. But I always try to keep it real. I include the challenges with the wins because there's a lot of them. And so yeah, I've been thinking about that. You saying that was just another like kick in my butt.
No,
to
because
actually do it.
honestly, Tonja, I get the spirit from you. Like you just are so genuine, and I feel like your story is encouraging me to like push forward in my acting career. I'm a writer as well, but my love is acting. So
So,
it's just refreshing even for me. So I know if somebody else can listen to this, like it's refreshing to hear somebody who pushed
Yeah.
through it and
yeah.
actually is doing it and living out what they want to do.
Yeah, I gotta write something for you then. For sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
down.
I'm like me and Deion. We can write something.
We can write
Right.
it up. Write it up.
Yes.
Yes, I am down for that. Okay.
Yes.
I won't say no. I'll say no to some projects.
No, of course. You should. Discernment
Yeah.
is real. You should have
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Exactly. You can't say yes to everything.
No, you cannot.
Talk about your first major byline with Ebony and how that came into fruition.
Yeah, so that came so that was an op-ed that I wrote because Viola Davis stardom was rising even further than it was before, right at the time. I want to say it was like 2017, and they called her the Black Meryl Streep, and I thought that was insulting. I was like, no, she is not the Black Meryl Streep. She's Viola
Wow.
Davis, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think I remember
So,
seeing
like,
something like that on Twitter too. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it was big. It was like trending. And so literally the headline I think was Viola Davis is not the Black Meryl Streep.
Right.
And so I pitched it to Ebony at the time, at the editor at the time there, and she accepted it and I wrote it, and I got to have like that first time like having a process from an op-ed with an editor actually editing your pieces and stuff. And once I got that was like the sign to me. I was like, I should do this full time because even getting in this entertainment industry this way, I never thought it would happen this way, right? I never thought I would get into journalism, but I got into journalism because I was a blogger. Like I was blogging at the time. I was had my own blog. I was following other blogs like Very Smart Brothers, which we got into another like professional relationship once the Root brought Very Smart Brothers. So it was like this synergy. But yeah, so I did that. After that, I started freelancing full time, which was, oh my God. If not, if I can compare it to like financially now, because the job market is wild in another way right now that I've never experienced. Because like I was working during the recession, the last recession, and I survived many layoffs. But during this time, I've been laid off twice, back to back. But that time was probably the most financially hard point for me because you're freelancing, you may be getting all these clips and all these bylines and stuff, but you got to wait for your pay. Like the publications getting their money right away as soon as you publish it. They're getting their ad dollars and stuff. But it's a net 60, net 30, net 60, net 90, all those things. Like that's the law that they take advantage of and they don't pay you. But a lot of people not only take advantage of the law, but they totally disregard the law and like don't pay you for like months and months and months and months. So I had to deal with stuff like that too, just chasing down people. Like, where's the accounting department? Who do I check? Like asking the editor, like who do I call? Because I know it's not the editor's fault. It's the whole accounting department, who's giving you this money. But that was so hard for me because I was down bad, y'all. I was like, as far as like my credit tanked in a way that I'm still recovering to this day. Like I'm just now getting okay, and good, but it taught me a lot of, character. Like obviously that was a hard part, but it also got me enough clips to then be able to do full-time work, which I did at the Root as an entertainment writer.
There you go. So disguise in a way, kind of.
Man, the ups and downs of the entertainment industry and just how they constantly sometimes screw us over when it comes to being paid properly. And also just being a woman of color as well.
Right. We're already paid way less than everyone else.
Yes. You're a woman and you're a woman of color.
Exactly.
Right.
The double
they hate us.
Man.
How will,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you're fine.
So for your elevator pitch, what you did with WingChick, give us some details behind that, because elevator pitch, I struggle with that. I'm not really a big
Gosh.
talker. That's probably why I became a writer, right? So
Right,
like,
exactly.
the voice is in my words. So it's like, explain how that came and how'd you handle that, and then give us the crowdfunding you did for that, because a lot of
Yeah.
people who do independent filmmaking, they crowdfund, and some people don't know how to do it. Others do. Others are really good at it. To explain your process through all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than like the GoFundMe I did when I moved here, WingChick was the first crowdfunding I did for an actual project. So that was such a learning experience for me. But yeah, WingChick is autobiographical, right? It's for me being all these in these situationships, right? Being the wing woman to all the dudes or whatever. But then I got in a situationship that was pretty complicated, Facebook complicated, if you will. It, crossed lines, crossed boundaries. And from what all comedy comes from tragedy, I believe, right? So that was like very heartbreaking, experience, but I turned that into laughter, and it was therapeutic for me. But yeah, so WingChick is about a dating profile writer named Raven, who she can like word all these things for dating profile sites. Like she can like pin your profile like perfect for you to get a lot of hits, but her own dating life is terrible, a mess, a hot mess. So it's dealing with all the dating, challenges and, her friendships and all that. I think essentially it's a love story for her from her best friend as well, who she's in a situationship with, but it's a love story with her friends as well. So yeah, but crowdfunding, going back to crowdfunding, I use Indiegogo for crowdfunding, and I looked up, I researched a lot. I was like, okay, what are these things you do? And I learned like the value of the pre launch game, right? So like marketing before you actually launch, right? So I learned that how important that is, because that first week is so pivotal. Like as soon as you launch, like that week, that momentum, like gaining that momentum really fast. Yeah, you got to keep it going, because especially like these days, people are so fickle. But also the timing was good for me, because when I was crowdfunding, I also was able to go to Sundance Film Festival. So I was able to pitch this in person as well as online, right? So I had this digital presence while I was pushing it every day. Like I was like annoying people. Like I didn't care. No shame, because you can't have any shame when you're promoting yourself, especially when you're trying to raise money. But I went to Sundance Film Festival, and there was a panel there about financing projects. Like I think it was like films and web series, everything, right? And WingChick is a web series. So after the panel, I like did a beeline for the Black woman on the panel. Her name is Kimberly Stewart, and she was a financier, like a Oscar nominated financier. And I pitched her WingChick, and she gave me her card. And so then I followed up, as I did with a lot of stuff when I was networking with people. I followed up when I got home, and it was to her assistant, I believe. So I was like, this is WingChick, this is my Indiegogo link, blah, blah, blah. And
So
I
bold.
went back to work. At the time, I was like, I think I was still at the law firm. Yeah, I was still at the law firm in downtown LA. And I was seeing the pings go off. Like every time my phone like buzzed, I'm like, yes, here goes another donation, blah, blah, blah. But then I saw a ping come, and it was for $1,000. And I was like, what? So I saw her name. I saw Kimberly Stewart's name. And because of that, large donation, she became an associate producer. I'm like, because that's a perk that I had on the scale. So yeah, I was like, the power of, selling yourself and being genuine about it, right? Too.
Yeah.
That was very
Wow.
that's you had the confidence, you knew what you wanted to do, and you accomplished it.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for that.
You
'cause
need to
that's
give me
bold.
some of that ambition, girl. That
Oh my God.
boldness. That
And
That's
boldness.
boldness.
yeah,
That
and it's literally like
bold.
faking the funk sometimes, right? Because it's nerve wracking. Like
Yeah.
I'm always nervous when I'm doing this stuff, but yeah, I just push back because I have the tunnel vision. I'm like, okay, I got to fund this film. I want to make it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congrats
Yeah.
to you, and
Thank you.
to many more success on more of your projects.
Thank you
Really.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need it these days.
We're gonna take a quick break for our sponsor message with 24/7 Live Culture. So we'll be back with Tonja in a minute.
Welcome back, y'all. We are on this amazing episode talking with Tonja here, the writer, director, producer herself. So delightful to have you. We have been getting some nuggets. I think me and Deion ourselves personally are benefiting from this, and to whoever is watching. Yes. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your nuggets with us. So we're gonna pivot a little bit and tap into the industry portion of it. We just want to get your insights on a lot of things that you have been seeing, I'm sure, and possibly have been affecting you in the news. How has the writer's strike, affected you during this time?
Yeah, that's been such a such an effect, because funny enough, again, like how this journey has led me into the industry. I didn't get a WGA membership through writing for a TV show or any of that. I got it from being a journalist at the Root. So they had a bargaining agreement with WGA.
Wow.
And so that's how I got a membership to the Writers Guild, which is really cool. They're a partner with WGA East because they're headquartered in New York. And so that's how I got that. So I obviously very pro union, very pro, fighting for what we deserve. Because as I got in, deeper into the entertainment industry and met a lot of people and networking with a lot of TV writers and stuff like that, I learned that they also were working as like a gig economy, basically, right? Like freelancing, right? Like not knowing where your next check is going to come from, even though you're called a staff writer. Like, you're freelancing, right? And so, and then not being paid enough, right? Like, obviously the game changed, right? In a ways as far as royalty goes because of streaming, the advent of streaming and stuff. Because like back in the day, you can like survive off a royalty check, but now it's like pennies. And people are like on welfare with full-time jobs. I'm like, what? This is not cool. It's not cool. So as I learned all these stories, I was like, this is not cool. And especially because writers are always so disrespected, just in general, right? Even though we're the blueprint. Like you can't have a story without us.
Literally.
But yeah, so this, as we, won the things that we were fighting for, striking and stuff, that became a change in the industry too. Now, which I was afraid was going to happen, they blamed us for fighting, right? Well, we were worth what we were worth, and they're like, "Oh, well, now we can't greenlight as many shows anymore, or shows have fewer episodes and things like that." When it all boils down to greed, like it's corporate greed. It's not, the writers trying to get, basically asking for pennies in comparison to what you're making off of us and off of our labor. We were just trying to survive. Like, that's all. Like, we're not trying to buy 5 yachts.
Right.
Like out here.
Not at all. I'll take a sailboat at this point. Like,
exactly. Whereas them, they were mad because like, oh my God, I only have 5 yachts, not 6. Like, it's come on.
Right. Yes,
it's ridiculous.
In comparison to what the CEO of the companies are making to their writers that they're hiring on, like it doesn't even compare. And
it doesn't at all.
And they're not even working nearly as half as hard as you guys are.
Exactly. And a lot of it, right, was like free writing, right? Like, so I'm sure Deion knows, like when you're pitching a project, you got to do so much writing for free. Like, oh, we need a Bible, we need a treatment, we need this, that, and that. We need a pilot, outline, right? And all of that is for free.
Crazy.
And so we're like, no, you're stopping all that. Like, that's not cool at all. But yeah, so that part, the slowing down of the industry. A lot of the writers that I do know who were actively working pre-strike, they still can't be placed in a room. I'm like, that's not cool. Even the which I'm glad the writer strike did was, a lot of writers I was noticing, they were being stuck like at that like junior level, like that staff level, and not being promoted to like editor or producer and things like that. That I'm glad that's stopping, but now it seems like they're punishing us and retaliating against us
they
for
kind of
fighting.
are. They
are, right? Because I'm like, this was a labor rights movement, and the labor rights movement was going on in a lot of ways, in a lot of industries, not just entertainment, right? It was like hotel workers, UPS workers, all that, and I think all of the industry, and why the job market is so trash now is because they're retaliating.
I worked for the airline industry, and we were attempting to go on strike. We were in negotiations for a bonus at that point too. Because they're like, yeah, you
Yep.
got to pay us more. The work we do on this ramp is not
Yes.
giving what it's supposed
Yes.
to give.
Oh my God, yes. All the work
Yeah.
y'all do, and like especially because it's such a pivotal industry, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
this is life or death. Like
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
airplanes, like
literally, I
come
go out
on.
there, I can get sucked by this plane. You don't
No.
understand what happened.
Oh man,
Or I
for
can go deaf
real.
Exactly.
when I turn 50 years old because I worked
Yes.
15 years on the
Uh,
ramp. Like, you know, it's true story.
Child,
sheesh, man.
True story. It's crazy.
it
Um,
is.
from what you saying that writers are the blueprint, what were your
Mhm.
thoughts, when those reports were coming out about AI and
Mhm.
AI writing their own scripts for the producers and the
Mhm.
CEOs of because they were saying, oh, we don't need you guys. We got AI now, Chat GPT,
Child.
create a whole season of worth of a show. You know what I'm saying? Like what was your thoughts on that when that was all out?
Oh my God. Like, stop playing in our face. Like that was
Right.
my thought. Basically, like really like the funny thing about AI is like literally how this is all like a cycle, right? Like a bad cycle. The same thing happened with streaming, right? Like the
Yeah.
last strike, we didn't think about that, like the
Oh
longevity of
yeah. Yeah.
streaming and how that would affect royalties and stuff. Because they're don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And so they were saying the same things with AI, but we had smartened up to it already, like
Mhm.
before it got, too late, right? And so with AI, what's funny in the tech industry, that's how they are, right? They're like, oh, it's just this harmless thing and they can help you with these things, they can help you organize, blah, blah, blah. But it's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
Like when you put it into the hands of the wrong people, there's no way to ethically
They never seen
what
iRobot.
I believe, right? to have AI. I just don't believe it, especially when you're talking about replacing a writer. Like you can't replace a human. Like
Right.
the humanity is what makes a story, right? The
Yes.
emotional core is what makes a story. A robot does not have emotions,
No, not
does
at
not
all.
have a heart.
Not at
No
all.
matter how
Yes.
much you program it, no matter how much you program it to be, it can't actually execute the story the way a human
Yes.
can.
You would
And
Yes.
think
that's
if
it. Like that's the
it
core of
would be
writing.
hit
Say
with all
that.
these robot movies they didn't came out with over the years. They
Right?
like it's just like come on now. I can name a bunch of movies right now that robots took over and we still ain't learned anything yet from that. I don't
We
understand. I
still didn't
don't get it.
learn it. I'm like, what we see it happening in our face, and like, how haven't we learned? And
Yeah.
just like how dangerous it is in general, right? In addition to like eliminating humanity, like the misinformation that's going on, the deep fakes, all of that, like in a year that's a huge political year, importantly, like this stuff is like so dangerous while this
Yeah.
misinformation is going out, and AI is a big proponent of that.
I always tell people this story. I went to a tech conference out here in Las Vegas one time with
Mm-hmm.
some friends, and they were, demonstrating the robots, AI coming to life and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And these two robots, they had them on, they were demonstrating. These two robots started talking to each other in a different language to the point where the creators are like, that's not supposed to happen. And they had to shut them down because they were talking to each other in a different language. And we
You
couldn't,
see,
everybody was kind of
See,
like just looking
no,
around like, what is
absolutely
going on?
not.
Yeah. The creators like, that
like,
wasn't,
where's Will Smith? Like to say
yeah.
to say,
Right?
I'm looking like, we all just looking like they're talking to each other. We don't know what they're saying, what
Heck
kind of stuff they're
no.
on. Yeah. It
see,
was wild. They had to shut it down.
yeah.
Shut that thing down.
Man.
That's definitely one of my fears is like, yeah, they're gonna you program it in a way it's gonna get too smart for its
Mhm.
own good and it's gonna be in cahoots with each other
Yeah.
and against us, right? Because they're gonna know each other, differentiating for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just like putting that stuff into like AI is it's just so dangerous because again, there's many factors to this, and another one actually is going back to us and how what we can relate to is the actual discrimination in AI,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
The biases that are going into this technology, like the human biases that are going into the technology, they're feeding that
Right.
into them and they're learning it, right?
Yep.
I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
cool.
That's not
Right.
cool at all. Not at all.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Um, so what do you want to tell our viewers what you have? What can we look forward from next from you?
Yeah. So what I'm doing now, in addition to navigating this wild job market and trying to freelance and stuff, what I do now, professionally, I do copywriting and copy editing, editorial work. I still do that. I still freelance for publications. But right now I've been, trying to pitch actually a book slash TV show that I've been doing, a children's TV show, an animated TV show, because animation, children's TV
Yeah.
is what really got me into loving storytelling in the first place, right?
Me
Like
too.
many kids who grew up in the 90s, I was a Disney fanatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
love me some
Yes.
Same.
Disney films. Oh my God, and
Yes.
Lion King is my favorite. As a Leo, it lines up.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but that, you know, I've always wanted to do a children's movie or TV show or what have you, because just the imagination, like spurring the imagination of kids is
Yes.
just like, that's my heart right there.
Yes. Yeah, seriously. The imagination in children, I feel like, is slowly disappearing. Like, you don't
I
see
know.
kids playing outside anymore. I remember being
Yeah.
excited just to play in mud and pretend I'm making some
Oh
mud
yeah.
pies and things like that.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
have a 15-year-old brother, and I feel like that just like went over his head, like no imagination
Mm.
whatsoever. So yes,
Again,
please.
technology, right?
Yeah.
Again,
Like it's
yes.
a blessing and a
Robots
curse, right? It's
taking
like
over.
obviously we're advanced in ways, but
Mhm.
again, you put it in the wrong hands. It's,
They
you know.
wasn't like
Seriously.
SpongeBob in the box saying
Oh,
imagination, you know, having fun with
Right.
their life. It
right?
wasn't there. They wasn't there.
Oh, they wasn't there, right? Like y'all wasn't there. Y'all wasn't in basketball.
Right.
Oh my God.
Tonja, what
Yeah.
is your favorite, since we're on like the side of animation and kids, what was your
Mhm.
favorite show like from Disney Channel or watching growing up that sparked that like little child in you as you're an adult?
Oh my goodness. I want to say my favorite TV show, which is going to be like disrespect to Disney, because like I was more of a Disney film person, but it was on Nickelodeon and it was All That. Like all
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
yeah,
like when
classic.
I saw kids like myself who loved comedy, because
Yes.
like growing up with my grandmother, right? So my mom was a single parent. My parents divorced when I was a baby,
Mhm.
and since my mom was working, you know, I went to live with my grandmother as I was growing up. And my grandma was always looking at the like Norman Lear TV shows, like the
Yeah.
Jeffersons, All in the Family, you know, like Mama's Family, like all those Good Times, all those.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started my love for comedy. But then when I saw these kids doing sketch comedy, I was like, oh my God, I want to do
Man.
that so bad. Like Keenan and Kel, like
Yeah,
Amanda
yeah,
Bynes,
Uh,
that was my show.
like
yes.
what? Like they were so talented.
Yes.
My God, like when you grow up and then learn what they went through, though, if you saw the
Uh,
documentary
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
you
I
know, that,
did.
yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so
Mhm.
tragic,
Yeah.
especially because they were such, you know, such talent, and people taking advantage of that is not cool at all.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
far as like
that
their
was
pure
terrible.
talent, you know, as a kid, I always wanted to be them, like,
Yeah.
and I saw the kids can do that, right, and that they were respected, their imaginations were respected enough to have their own TV show. It was so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Keenan and Kel. Just seeing two
Oh,
boys, be teenagers and get into trouble.
yes,
I was them, so it was like coming home to watch that every Friday night. I think they came on every Friday night, and
yeah, I
just,
think so.
I loved Orange Soda. Fell in love with
Come
Orange Soda.
on, who loves orange soda?
Who love
Every Orange
orange
Soda.
soda?
It was the line. I quote that show religiously. The
Yeah.
screw and the
Yes.
tuna. Everything. The painting he painted, sunset, funset.
Yep.
Every time I see a
Oh my
painting like that,
God.
I
Yes.
So
like
many memories.
so many
Oh
memories
my
of that
goodness. It
show.
raised us. It really did.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's just,
it
oh
did.
my goodness.
Really, really did. What was you said you love Disney films more. So many
Yeah.
classic Disney films pop in my head when I think of Disney,
Mhm.
90s, early 90s, late 90s. What was your
Yeah.
favorite Disney film that left like a real big mark on you?
Yeah, so like The Lion King is my all-time favorite. Like I tell people all the time, I could do a one-woman show of The Lion King. I tore that VHS up, and yes, it was VHS back
Jason
then to
Weaver throw
kids.
it up. He killed it.
Like, I mean, like you know, like hey, you have to rewind it because the tape
Yes.
would
Yeah.
like get like you know mixed up or whatever. It's
Right.
like I watched it over and over again, so I know that movie front to back, every ad lib, every line, every
Yeah.
song, everything. So like that, The Lion King. I really love Aladdin, Pocahontas, The Little Mermaid, like all of those. Like that's what I think that's also what born my love for like just theater, because I
Yeah.
when I was in college I did an internship working in theater too, so like those musicals and stuff.
Yeah.
I really love that, but it just made me just want to like perform, right? I'm just in the,
Yes.
you know, in my room by myself, like just reenacting this
Yeah.
stuff. It really sparked my imagination in a way that I'll never forget.
Oh man, how do you feel about them making live actions of these Disney films? Um,
Mm,
like especially since Lion King is your favorite,
yeah.
um,
And they did
how
it
did you
twice
feel
now,
about
right?
that?
They have Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, so yeah, they're gonna do another one with like Barry Jenkins, which I'm
Yeah, Barry
interested to
Jenkins.
see
Yeah.
because I'm
Barry
such a fan of Barry Jenkins. So I'm
Jenkins.
interested to see how he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
But the first live action one that they did, it was okay. Like, it was just like
I'm
nostalgia. It
with
was like
you.
leaning
I'm
on
with you right
nostalgia.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just okay because I didn't like the fact that it wasn't as emotionally resonant
Yeah.
as the Lion King was, the animated Lion King, because they did it like in this realistic way, right? I know that was their goal, right? To make it more realistic, but that took away from the emotional core of it, like seeing Simba, his face
Yeah.
crumble when he realized his dad died. And again, linked to me because I knew how that felt, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was just, you know, those one of those things that made me want to make movies. When I found out it was a thing, I was like, oh my God, like this movie had such an impact on me. I was bawling, like tears, like
Yeah.
movies like that.
It still gives me. Jason Weaver killed it. Shout out to him.
Child, Jason
You know,
Weaver, like
you don't have to
him
do
sing.
another thing in the world. He will get paid from that for the rest of his life.
Exactly. And I
Yes.
love that story too with his mom, how she advocated for him. I'm like, shout out to Black mamas. That's
Right.
why.
He's very
They're
smart.
gonna
I
get you
love
right
that.
every time.
Yes, I know that's right.
Yeah. How did you feel about Ariel? Same
Now,
feeling? Or
no, not really. So, like, okay, so when I saw the trailer, I know a lot of people were, you know, pretty concerned about that too, because again, the animated films are so vibrant, so colorful. And so when you saw the trailer or the teaser or whatever, when it first came out and it was so dark and everybody was like, oh my God, we're panicking, right? Especially
yeah.
because when you think about scenes like Under the Sea, you know, that's such a
Yes.
vibrant, colorful thing, right?
Yeah.
But again, I get what they were doing. Okay, it's supposed to be realistic. The ocean is very dark, very scary, you know, place.
Yes.
But it was Hallie's performance for me that really did it.
Yeah.
She really brought this new life to Ariel because yeah, like Part of Your World is one of my favorite Disney songs. I'm definitely one of those little girls. It's like, you know, you could sing when you could sing that song. Like,
Yes.
but like I tried, and I
Yeah.
love that song so much. And when Hallie brought this like new life to it, I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And so I listened to her version all the time. Like,
Yeah.
even though that was a tough act to follow,
It
right?
gives me
And
chills every
it
time.
chills.
Like
Like she brought a whole new
literally.
life. I'm like, oh my
Yes.
goodness. And she's just so charismatic and just so lovely. And just
Mhm.
seeing the little Black girls and little Black boys react to seeing her for the first time, like
Yeah.
really touched me in a way that I'm like, oh my God, this is so
Yeah.
great. Like that they get to see this.
Yeah.
Because like it
Yes.
took us a long time to get to that point for us when we saw ourselves in a Disney film as a lead, right?
Yes.
Unless it was an animal, right? Unless it was Lion
Right.
King.
No, right.
Right.
And I also feel like for our age group, our Black princess was Brandy, which she played
Yes.
Cinderella
Yeah.
in the live
Yes.
action, and then that's all we
Yep.
got.
Yep.
And then it was Ariel. So it was just nice to see like these newer children who are raised like with racial awareness, like to see a woman of color as a
Yes.
princess.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because who knows when we're gonna get Princess Tiana, you know? And
I
so,
know.
yeah.
I mean, the way Disney moving and you know their stuff,
Yeah.
it just hasn't had that effect a lot like they thought it would. We
Mhm.
might get it sooner than later, to be honest, because they know
True.
it's gonna sell. They know Black people are gonna show up for Princess Tiana.
That's
So
true.
they need a
Yeah.
quick check. They'll be like, yeah, put something out for the Black people.
Yeah,
They'll
Right.
exactly. Because they
They
saw, right?
support us.
yeah,
Right, how Black
yeah,
Panther did and all that
exactly.
stuff. It's
Little
like, you know,
Mermaid, we
Disney
ran it
thinks
up.
about merch too. It's not even just about the movie. They're like, let's sell this merch as well. So they're like,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they go
yeah.
all out. They, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they changed their Disneyland, they changed
Yeah.
California
Yes.
Adventures, all
They
Sure
know
the
what's
did.
up.
Disney parks,
Yeah,
every
they
Yep.
know what it
Yeah,
is.
now
store.
Tiana has a ride. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they know what a
Yeah.
dollar is. They're working on it behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure. I know they are. They
I
just
wouldn't be
have to find
surprised.
the right actress and the right creative people to do it. And it might come out in the next couple of years, to be honest. If I'm
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you.
really being
I
honest.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I would love to see that.
Tonja, tell us where our viewers where they can follow you at.
Yeah, you can follow me pretty much anywhere on social media, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not calling it X.
I agree.
Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads. I'm on Threads as well. TikTok. I'm on TikTok. It's all at Tonja Stidhum. So my full name, TonjaStidhum.
There you go. Tonja.
Yeah,
Yes.
Follow, like, comment, hit her
Comment.
DM. She might give you some
please
advice.
do.
And make sure y'all check out WingChick on
Right.
Yes.
OVTV. Okay. Check out her work. go to her website. We'll have everything posted on our on 24/7 Live Culture as well. But go ahead and check her stuff out and give her a follow. Support her. Support another Black woman in the entertainment industry. Okay.
Please.
Whereas
Thank
me as
you.
director, producer, writer,
Yes, she's doing the thing.
that's a lot.
It is. It is a lot.
Support.
But thank you.
Yes. Well, all right, Tonja, we are so happy to have you, and thank you again for joining us. This is it, y'all. This is the conclusion of the episode. We appreciate we appreciate you guys so much for joining us. Until next time.
Oh, hold on. Oh, shout out to Ronnie Lou, who couldn't be with
Oh,
us
yes.
here with us today, but she will be back next time.
She's
We
out
love
there
you,
being a
Ronnie.
superstar.
Superstar.
Yes, I love it.
We love you, Ronnie. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. All right.
Peace out, y'all.
You're watching 24/7 Live Culture.